This is just a short class to explain how for ij and pair loops work. So I put together a couple of configs to do loops on. In this one we have the table here. This is example one. It's a multi-layered table. This is something you would see in a config file. Example two is another multi-layered table, except instead of using numbers for my indexes, I use the text strings. And so the entire config loops table is here on the right. So for the first example, we're going to do a for ij and pair loops example of the whole table. Our second example is going to be loop of the subtable. Third will be a further drop down into deeper subtables. Then I'm going to show how you just grab an individual value from a table, from a config table. Your first for ij loop, this just runs through the entire config loops table. So it's going to run through this entire table. So you can see this is what we put in the code, and this is the output on the console. So you can see our I value is example one and example two, and the J value is the entire table underneath example one, because we're just looping through the main table. So if we go one step deeper and we loop through what the results of the first loop, then you have to change your variables. So I used ij the first time, I used kv this time, and I'm looping through j, so I'm looping through the results of the first. And then if you debug that, your k is 1, 2, 3, and your v is the table inside of 1, 2, and 3. And then for our one that we just used the names on, same thing. But what you'll notice is that 1, 2, 3 looped correctly, like they looped in order. But the other table that did not have numbers, it just had text strings, it looped randomly. So it went 3, and then it's 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. And you can also see here XYZ is scrambled as well. That's because the for ij loop, it doesn't loop in sequential order, it loops randomly. If we go one layer deeper, we can use L and M for our variables, and then we're going to be looping through the loops table, and then we're looping through the J, which is the results inside the loops table. So whatever it pulls is J, and then that table is variable V. So we're going to loop through the V table after that, and this is your results. And you can see that it's like subtable is our L value, and then the subtable is the variables. But because we only had 3 layers on our text table, you can see you're getting individual values. So that's how if you were trying to loop down to an individual variable, you just have to keep looping through the table until you get down to where you're getting a single variable result. For a specific variable fetch, for example, if you have config loop tables example one subtable dot text, the result is subtable number 1. Config.loops table example 2.3.2, that value is 8. So if we go back and look here, it was the value was 8, so it's right here. You can pause this when you watch it back and see how it works. That's how for ij loops work. Thank you.